Tonight, Canadian travelers bracing for flight cancellations again.
We were afraid that with the impending strike with Air Canada, our flight would be canceled.
Air Canada says it's preparing to suspend flights as a strike deadline looms. What you need to know if you're flying. The Princess of Wales opens up about her cancer treatment.
The cancer journey is complex, scary, and unpredictable for everyone.
And rent prices soaring, affordable rental units disappearing.
The buildings are still there, they're just no longer affordable.
Who is to blame?
We're not tasked with building deeply affordable or social housing. We're in business.
We investigate who really owns all those rentals.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. We begin tonight with a travel nightmare in the making. Air Canada is on the brink of a major shutdown as contract talks with pilots stall. So the pilots want higher wages on par with their American counterparts. But Air Canada says their demands are unreasonable. If they can't reach a deal fast, thousands of passengers could soon be left scrambling. It's a frustrating and familiar situation for countless Canadians on edge about their upcoming travel plans. Anis Haydari now with what you need to know if you're flying.
Air Canada passengers could soon be grounded as the airline prepares for what could happen if it can't settle a contract with its pilots. With no deal, it may start shutting down flights by this weekend.
They forced this upon me and upon themselves.
Mike Springer is flying for knee surgery.
We were afraid that with the impending strike with Air Canada, our flight would be canceled if we booked with Air Canada. So I looked into WestJet and booked with WestJet instead.
Initially, more than 110,000 passengers could be affected each day. Air Canada is letting those traveling next week to adjust or cancel bookings. The pilots are threatening to walk off the job, saying they aren't paid enough.
We fly the same passengers, the same airplanes, in the same airspace as our peers like United, Delta, and American. We do so for half the salary.
But Air Canada says the union's demands far exceed average Canadian wage increases, though labor experts point out it's a global market.
Pilots, they're going around the world and they are talking to fellow workers who work for different airlines, and they know what these disparities are.
Air Canada and the union still have a few days to settle.
When a company is negotiating with a union, they have to wait until the very last minute. It's all about negotiating. It's all about making compromises.
But compromises are harder for passengers outside of big cities.
So our choices are even less here. We can't drive to Buffalo, can't drive to Detroit and use American owned airlines. So we kind of are stuck with Air Canada down here.
The federal government has said it believes in the collective bargaining process and that Canadians are counting on both sides to get a deal.
The entire point of labor action is that it's that threat of disruption to the employer's business that creates the pressure on them to come to the table and negotiate a fair agreement.
The pilots have voted 98% in favor of a strike. They'll have to give notice by Sunday if they plan to do that.
So, Anis, I suppose just like we saw with the WestJet strike earlier this summer, even before that deadline, Air Canada says it may need to cancel flights in preparation.
Yeah, that's right. If either the company or the union give that 72-hour strike notice, Air Canada will start canceling flights right away. It doesn't want to get equipment or airplanes stuck anywhere. Now, if Canadians' flights are canceled, they can get a full refund for that flight, but they may not get any extra money or compensation under current passenger rights laws.
Okay, all right. Anis Haydari at the Calgary International Airport. Thanks, Anis. A high-stakes Liberal caucus retreat is now underway in British Columbia with news of a big name joining the team. Rafi Boudjikanian now on Mark Carney's new role and the concerns being raised about Justin Trudeau's leadership.
At the start of an Oceanside caucus meeting, a blunt message for the Prime Minister.
My constituents do not see Mr. Trudeau as the person that should lead the party into the next election.
This Liberal MP saying what she's heard is a call for change at the top.
If I listen to my constituents, which is supposedly what we are meant to do, yes, I have to say that we would have to change leadership.
The Liberals are hoping this retreat is also a reset after a brutal by-election loss to the Conservatives and the end of a deal with the NDP to keep their minority government alive.
Well, there's nothing like the threat of an election to focus the mind, right?
Now the party is bringing in a big name to help prepare. Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland announcing she is thrilled to welcome her longtime and respected friend Mark Carney to the Liberal team. The former governor of the Banks of Canada and England, a name that has been raised as a potential successor to Justin Trudeau, now an economic advisor for the Liberals.
I saw Mark at the airport. I was very happy to see him here. I've always respected what he stated and his intelligence.
Carney will now help shape the party's policies as the Liberals face pressure to address the cost of living.
Mark Carney isn't promising to change course. All they're talking about is doubling down on the same failed policies that caused all this heartache to Canadians in the first place.
As for the concerns being raised within the Liberal Party about Trudeau's leadership,
politics is a team sport and that we need to support each other. We need to support each other in tough times, and of course it's normal to have challenging conversations.
those internal talks may become tougher still. In just a week, Trudeau will face another crucial test, a by-election in Montreal where his party could lose another long-time Liberal seat. Rafi Wujikani on CBC News, Nanaimo, BC.
There is some closure tonight for victims of Peter Nygard, the disgraced former fashion tycoon sentenced today to 11 years in prison for 4 sexual assaults. In his sentencing, the judge called Nygard a sexual predator who used his wealth and power to prey on women. The victim's advocate shared one of the women's statements outside court.
We did this to ensure every victim of sexual assault will remember this trial and feel the strength and confidence to come forward and not be threatened by social status or money.
With time served, the 83-year-old will spend another 7 years in prison. Nygard's lawyer says he plans to appeal the conviction and sentence. He also faces charges in the U.S., Manitoba, and Quebec. Well, 2 men in Alberta have been sentenced for their roles in the Coutts border blockade. You may recall that blockade was in protest of COVID-19 restrictions and mandates, and it stopped traffic for weeks back in 2022. Aaron Collins now with the sentence and the message the judge is hoping it sends.
A stream of disappointment outside a packed Lethbridge courthouse. Supporters of Anthony Olenek and Chris Carbert upset the 2 men aren't walking out too. Instead, they're headed back to prison, sentenced to 6.5 years for bringing a stockpile of guns to a protest against COVID restrictions that blocked the border to the U.S. here for more than 2 weeks.
I feel that this is a travesty of our justice system, and I feel that what happened here today sets a very, very dangerous precedence.
Olenek and Carbert arrested with a cache of weapons at the Coutts blockade, accused, among other things, of conspiring to kill police. Those charges didn't stick, but they were used to help justify Ottawa's use of the Emergencies Act. Its use deemed unconstitutional earlier this year, a ruling the federal government is challenging. And supporters of Olenek and Carbert say this is the reason they're headed to jail.
Now, if that all of a sudden was to go away, or a very light sentence on that, then automatically that the Liberal government enacting of that Emergency Act doesn't look so good.
Deterring another potentially violent and politically motivated protest, a major reason the judge in the case justified the sentences.
Peaceful protest, first it has to be peaceful, and bringing a bunch of weapons is probably not peaceful. It also has to respect the laws writ large. And clearly what was going on at Coutts did not do that.
But lawyers for the 2 men say the sentences are too harsh.
I don't quarrel with the fact that you shouldn't have guns at a protest and that the judge was appropriate in sending that message. But in terms of the actual harm done as opposed to what could have been done, I think that those are 2 different things.
The lawyers for both Anthony Olenek and Chris Carbert say they'll be appealing the sentences. They also say they'll be appealing the 2 men's convictions for possessing a weapon for a dangerous purpose. Aaron Collins, CBC News, Lethbridge.
Family, friends, and former teammates of Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau gathered to honor the brothers at a funeral in Pennsylvania. During her eulogy, Johnny's wife revealed she's pregnant with their 3rd child.
He truly was a family-first guy.
and this is something about him I admired.
The Gaudreau brothers were killed by a suspected drunk driver while riding bikes last month in their home state of New Jersey. Johnny played for the NHL's Calgary Flames and the Columbus Blue Jackets, while Matthews spent time with professional teams in the AHL and ECHL. Well, the entertainment world has lost a most distinctive voice. James Earl Jones has died. His commanding presence was seen and heard on screen and stage for 7 decades. Yvette Brand looks at his prolific career.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
His range was formidable, his voice unmistakable.
I am your father.
From Star Wars to The Lion King.
You must take your place in the circle of life.
How can I go back?
He inhabited truly global cultural touchstones, including a famous writer in an Iowa cornfield.
People will come, Ray.
His voice delivered so many unforgettable lines.
I found you! Kunta Kinte! Let them wait!
In a baritone so deep, it underpinned the very universe.
Of the creatures who share our planet.
That voice, such a draw, a fledgling cable news network made a signature out of it.
This is CNN.
The Mississippi-born actor overcame racism and a childhood stutter. He debuted on Broadway in the 50s. His stage career included twice performing Shakespeare's Othello.
Bomb-fusing master citizen.
He moved to film in the 60s, debuting in Stanley Kubrick's Dr. Strangelove. But he hit the big time with that famous voice acting role.
It doesn't haunt me. I love it. I love that I was a part of that cult.
Jones was given an honorary Oscar in 2011. He'd already received a Tony, an Emmy, and a Grammy, a versatility few have matched. Today, actor LeVar Burton posted on X, there will never be another of his particular combination of graces. LA entertainment writer Drew Taylor said, "Rest in peace to James Earl Jones, a man who gave an animated lion gravitas, schooled Jack Ryan on nuclear submarines, and agreed to all of Dan Aykroyd's weird demands."
The sun will set on my time here.
Today, a final bow. James Earl Jones died at home in New York State. He was 93 years old. Yvette Brand, CBC News, Vancouver.
We are now just hours away from what could be a pivotal moment in the U.S. presidential campaign. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump will square off in a debate for the first time. Paul Hunter is in Philadelphia tonight to set the stage.
All around the site of the debate, security fencing. And yes, posters promoting Kamala Harris over here and Donald Trump up there. Indeed, at a bustling food market in downtown Philadelphia, politics is front of mind. One day ahead of the big Harris-Trump debate, say Harris backers.
She's a badass. And she's smart as a whip. So I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this in advance. I'm not really worried about it.
And as for Trump supporters,
if you were talking to Donald Trump right now about Tuesday, what would you say to him?
Keep cool. Don't lose your temper, because they're going to go for that.
Tens of millions will be watching what will likely be the only time the two will face each other in person before votes are cast. In a country divided, with the contest neck and neck.
Debates matter in close elections.
Kathleen Hall Jamieson, a long-standing observer of presidential debates, underlines the stakes in this one are super high for both. But
stakes higher for Harris because there's more capacity for her to be defined by Trump and to define herself than there is for Trump to do either for himself.
The Harris team now with a new anti-Trump ad using clips from Trump's former inner circle.
Now those people have a warning for America. Trump is not fit to be president again.
Chief among them, former Vice President Mike Pence, now no fan of his old boss.
It should come as no surprise that I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Trump, meanwhile, now posting a torrent of anti-Harris memes on his Truth Social site. Back at the food market, some who'll be watching make clear what they're actually hoping for.
What do you want to see from either of the candidates?
Coherence. So much of this has been babbling nonsense. I'd like to see coherent ideas.
And whether that happens, Adrian, depends on the two candidates.
And Paul, you know, there's been such a huge focus on the rules of this debate. Can you remind us where things have landed?
Yeah, lots of them. No opening statements, straight to questions, 2 minutes per answer, 2 minutes per rebuttal. Each candidate will have with them on stage strictly a pen, some paper, and some water. No props. Controversially, candidates who are not on camera will have their microphones turned off. The Harris team had one of them kept on in case Donald Trump tried to shout over Kamala Harris. They figured he'd look bad. The Trump team argued the opposite, that the microphones should be kept off when not on camera, and the Trump team won. Them's the rules.
All right. Paul Hunter in Philadelphia tonight. Thanks, Paul. Now, CBC News is simulcasting the ABC News presidential debate in its entirety on CBC News Network and on streaming. You can join us for special coverage starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time and for a special edition of The National right after the debate. Well, the Princess of Wales says she has finished her chemotherapy treatment and will gradually return to royal duties. Catherine shared the news in a rare and emotional video. Chris Brown has her message to the public.
As the summer comes to an end, I cannot tell you what a relief it is to have finally completed my chemotherapy treatment.
The video released by Kensington Palace shows Catherine, the Princess of Wales, and Prince William enjoying life with their family over the summer.
It's just filming.
The production was highly polished and crafted to appear intimate, and it was positive about her future.
I enter this new phase of recovery with a renewed sense of hope and appreciation of life.
It comes nearly 6 months after this video, released amid a frenzy of speculation about her health.
It has been an incredibly tough couple of months.
Catherine confirmed she was ill without saying what kind of cancer she was being treated for. She made brief public appearances over the summer, including in June during Trooping the Colour. But in this new video, she said she intends to slowly resume some royal duties after a difficult 9 months.
Doing what I can to stay cancer-free is now my focus. Although I have finished chemotherapy, my path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take each day as it comes.
The words and the language are, together with the video, they're intimate, they're personal.
Sunday Times royal editor Roya Nika says Catherine's words and the images she chose to illustrate them are unusually personal.
It's not just seeing George, Charlotte and Louis and William in that. You see her parents in it. We see Michael and Carol Middleton playing, card games with the children. We very rarely see them at all with the princess. So I think the fact that she's chosen to include them speaks to just how much of a support they've been.
Kensington Palace says it will give no further details on the nature of Catherine's cancer. Her resumption of royal duties will be gradual, perhaps beginning with Remembrance Day in November. Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Police in cities across the country are warning people tonight about a taxi scam that's already cost some people thousands of dollars.
I was in the car with somebody who wasn't a taxi driver. Anything could have happened.
How you can protect yourself against the fraud, next. Plus, where has all the affordable housing gone?
Financial firms are raising rents higher than other types of landlords.
Are big corporate landlords pricing renters out? The National investigates. And later, an endangered species bites off more than it can chew.
The first thing I noticed was that there were tooth marks all over my GoPro.
The up-close encounter caught on tape. We're back in 2. At least 13 people are missing after Super Typhoon Yagi destroyed this bridge in northern Vietnam. Officials say multiple cars were trying to cross it when it collapsed. Yagi first made landfall on Saturday, causing severe floods and landslides. More than 60 people are dead. Millions remain without power. Well, Amazon is rejecting a plea tonight to stop selling generic but official-looking taxi roof signs. The concern is those signs are being used by fraudsters to scam passengers out of their money. Sophia Harris explains.
Jessica Chin King thought she had hailed a taxi. She shows us how it all happened. She says there was a sign on the roof, and she did think it odd that the driver wanted her to pay by debit card, but she didn't realize she'd been scammed until later that day.
I get a weird notice from my bank saying there was suspicious activity.
Turns out, during the debit transaction, the driver got Chin King's PIN and swapped her card, handing her back a similar-looking one. The real one he took to the ATM.
He withdrew $600. I was in shock. I was in the car with somebody who wasn't a taxi driver. Anything could have happened.
It's called the taxi scam. Over the past year, Toronto police have identified nearly 1,000 cases, totaling close to $2 million in financial losses. The taxi scam has also spread to many other Canadian cities. In Calgary, Catherine Coutts lost almost $2,000 after she too was told to pay with debit and the fraudster switched her card.
It really felt like an invasion of privacy and a violation to be a victim of this scam. I was terrified.
Fraudsters can impersonate cab drivers by buying taxi signs online. CBC News bought this one on Amazon for $35. The Canadian Taxi Association has asked Amazon to stop selling these.
They do have a moral responsibility to at least sell the signs to individuals that are properly licensed by the cities.
But Amazon says it will continue selling the signs to all customers because it's perfectly legal.
Anything can be used to commit a crime, and you can't start banning everything.
This police detective says the best way to stop the taxi scam is to spread the word.
Never give another person control of your debit card.
Chin King and Coutts' banks reimbursed the money they lost. Now they too are spreading the word. Sophia Harris, CBC News, Toronto.
The 6 franchises of the Professional Women's Hockey League now have something they've never had before: names and logos.
I love the name. The name is very Montreal.
It sounds a little weird.
The winners and losers, according to fans. Plus, renters are fighting back as affordable housing disappears across the country.
It was affordable for us, but now they're not affordable anymore.
The corporate landlords, some say, are to blame.
They're really consolidating ownership.
Who is really at fault and what can be done?
You want this to be East Germany in the 60s? There you go.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next. The 6 teams in the Women's Professional Hockey League have 6 new names tonight. The big reveal coming on the cusp of the league's 2nd season. Sarah Levitt now with the new looks and the mixed reaction.
It's official, the teams have names and logos. Ones the Professional Women's Hockey League says are deeply rooted in the history of the home cities. Minnesota Frost, Toronto Scepters, Ottawa Charge, Victoire de Montréal, New York Sirens, and Boston Fleet.
I play for la Victoire de Montréal.
Donning brand new Montreal merch, the name an ode to the city's sporting successes, forward Catherine Dubois says she's absolutely thrilled.
I love the name. The name is very Montreal.
The PWHL had a wildly successful inaugural season, but it was condensed and the teams played without names.
We had the luxury to be able to experience, what fans experienced at games and get sentiments from across the board and really use those to help crystallize this.
One look on social media, though, and it's clear not all are on board with the names. Take the Ottawa Charge, inspired by the city's official motto, Advance, Ottawa en avant. The Ottawa Calgary Flames, one person writes. Another says, so much for buying merch. In Toronto, the league says the new name embodies the city's regal history.
Scepters of Toronto? It sounds a little weird.
And Montreal?
I kind of like the French name. I don't think I would have chosen Victoire.
Many, though, are excited about connecting with their team more deeply.
I'm excited to keep watching them, keep supporting them.
And last season was bigger and better than I think we could have ever thought. And to see the fans that came out to all of our games to support us, to sell out arenas and set records day after day, it was crazy. And I think this season we're just looking to do the same.
Keeping that momentum begins with these fresh threads. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. And tonight, our focus is one of the most basic needs. The big money business plan for corporate landlords: buy up housing, get new tenants, raise the rent.
Financial firms are raising rents higher than other types of landlords.
That has blown away 500,000 affordable units, according to one analyst's calculations. Tenants who cling to lower cost apartments say they are being forced out. The industry denies it.
I personally doubt a lot of those stories from the big landlords. Remember, when you get
I've been in those units. I've seen them and I've sat with them. Government decisions from years ago laid the ground for these big landlords to take root and reap big profits. So let's break down how that's working and why there is so little hope for tenants feeling the squeeze. So we don't know who owns Canada?
We don't know who owns Canada.
In the middle of a huge housing crisis, we're investigating the role of big corporations.
We're not tasked with building deeply affordable or social housing. We're in business.
They're sometimes called financialized landlords. So what happens when they're the ones buying up old buildings?
The buildings are still there. They're just no longer affordable.
It was affordable for us, but now they're not affordable anymore.
What's the cost and who pays when giant corporations move in? Not here, not now. Every time these renters protest what they call punishing rent hikes, this is the line they say they hear.
Like carrying on with our conference. DSP withdraws the above guideline rent increases. Sorry, I don't think this is the time with the police.
When protests outside their Toronto apartments didn't work, they started showing up at the offices, interrupting board meetings of the companies that own the buildings.
We are tenants of Thorncliffe Park.
The more than 80 residents from 3 Toronto buildings have also now been on a rent strike for over a year. Still, nothing seems to change, and something needs to change.
Our landlord has appealed for big rent hikes that will force people out of their homes.
Halil Alibi is at so many of the protests because he says for him, there's nothing left to lose.
Every time when you go for a grocery, the first thing you think, not about the wallet, you think about the rent.
He searched outside Toronto and still cannot find something he and his family can afford. And he admits sometimes his thoughts are extremely dark.
A lot of homeless living at the park, and some of those huge tents. But honestly, I speak to myself, oh, those people are lucky. They don't have pressure to pay the rent. For us, the rent is a pressure. Those people are lucky. They're living their life no rent.
Imagine thinking people without homes might be better off. The Canadian reality is rents here have increased 22% in 2 years. Canada now ranks the lowest in terms of affordability of all the G7 countries. But why? Some believe a lot of it has to do with who owns the buildings and what they do with them.
We're losing affordability.
Martine August, with a PhD in planning, has been chasing those facts for years.
We ran the numbers in Toronto and found that in 2020, for example, financial firms bought 90% of all the rental housing units that came up for sale. And so they're really consolidating ownership.
August says in Canada, the biggest financial firms own close to 400,000 suites across the country. That's nearly 20% of the purpose-built multi-family rental units, and she thinks that might be an undercount. So big firms own rental buildings. So what, you ask? Well, Martine August isn't talking about companies that own and run rentals as their full-time business. She's using the term financialized landlords, firms with investors that buy up housing stock as an investment, large private equity firms, real estate investment trusts. We're talking about Starlight Investments in this story because that is Halil's landlord, but there are many others. And what worries some is that these financialized landlords tend to buy up older buildings with lower rents. We're talking about affordable housing. And then they find ways to make those assets, those buildings, profitable for investors. Martine maintains this is where it gets rough for renters. It just stops being affordable housing. Again, she's done the math.
Financial firms are raising rents higher than other types of landlords, including large chains. And what we found was that on average, after a financial firm acquires a building, they increase the eviction filing rate by 3. They triple it.
Move out old tenants, then raise rents on those now empty units. When she says that's the business model, she's not making an idle comment. Consider Starlight Investments. It's the largest landlord in Canada and has over 54,000 units. Its own promotional material for investors lays it out, referring to buying buildings with below market rents at the time, and in one case saw rents increase by $411 per month. These papers that are in front of you are because this is how the companies describe their business model. And I'm wondering what you see in there. What stands out?
So this shows quite clearly the impacts of this repositioning strategy, this approach to making money for investors that these types of firms use. It's coming at the expense of affordable housing in Canada. And I said this is one building, right? This company has repositioned hundreds of properties in Canada. And so the net effect of that is rents are rising.
Profits come when units are turned over and renovated. For tenants who can afford to move into updated units, they look good. Here's one in a building owned by Starlight Investments. It's the building Halil happens to live in. His apartment looks nothing like that.
Oh yeah, that's all water damage, and they just painted over it.
Yeah, and they don't care at all. Even like for this, it was broken for a while to open it. It's just, everything is broken. The water comes from this way.
Halil insists older units like his are treated differently than newer ones with much higher paying tenants. His feeling is that the company just wants to push people like him out.
If anything will be broken or damaged in new units, they will do it in proper way, 5 stars, absolutely. But then for us, garbage.
And so you're taking a risk with the rent strike, right?
Yes, because I want better.
Does it make you nervous, though, that you're taking that risk?
No.
Without financialization, you will hardly have any landlords.
We uncover opportunities to deliver superior returns.
Over the months we've been following the story, we repeatedly asked Starlight for an on-camera interview, but the company declined our request. So we reached out to this man, Michael Brooks, the CEO of RealPAC. That's a trade association of real estate investment and development firms, Starlight Investments among them.
You know, you talk to people who live in some of the units in Thorncliffe Park, for example, where you've seen those rent strikes, right?
Yeah.
And they talk about the above guideline increases that they just flat out can't afford, and that the trend line is that the LTB approves them, and they're stuck. What are they supposed to do? Because they will tell you that they see that the common areas have been renovated. That's great. They see new units being renovated. That's great. But their cabinets are falling off the walls, and they've got water damage, and they've got holes, and they can't get anyone in to fix them, and yet they're paying the above guideline increases.
Yeah.
The frustration builds, right?
I personally doubt a lot of those stories from the big landlords. Remember, when you get
I've been in those units. I've seen them, and I've sat with them.
So the big landlords run their apartment buildings with a ticket system. If you've got a complaint, you fill out a ticket. That ticket gets archived in their software system, and then someone gets engaged to fix that. So that's the way it should run.
Supposed to work.
That's the way it's supposed to run in the larger buildings. The above guideline rent increase approach is adjudicated in Ontario.
That's exactly what Starlight told us in an email. They also said they care about their residents, and since 2019, they've invested more than $28.5 million in capital improvements to these buildings.
90% of the buildings in this province are over 45 years old. If your house was 45 years old, you're on your second roof, your second set of windows, new door, new furnace, new air conditioner. It's the same with apartment buildings. They don't care who owns them, they depreciate. And it takes a lot of money.
Coming up,
housing rights are human rights.
Can government find a fix?
Why not? I mean, it's violating the right to housing.
You want this to be East Germany in the 60s? There you go. Have them nationalize it.
And Halil versus Starlight, the fight continues.
Where we can go? We just keep asking myself, where we can go?
We're investigating the impact on low-income tenants as corporate landlords buy up units.
There's nowhere to go, nowhere at all.
You'll hear how the industry defends evictions as it challenges government to define its lofty statements.
Housing rights are human rights.
There is zero literature in this country on what's the private sector obligation.
The hunger for profit has changed the shape of Canada's housing market. That cannot be denied. What's less clear is how to fix the result and help the people priced out of their homes.
Another building, and this building, and this building, and all the area, it was affordable for us. But now, they're not affordable anymore. For us to leave from here, there is nowhere to go. What can we do?
Halil points to 3 buildings now owned by Starlight Investments, including his own. The money landlords say is needed, tenants like Halil say shouldn't come from them.
100% sure if they will take that easily from us, they will bite again and again and again. They will keep going. That's why we try to make ourselves close and stick together.
Here's another number Martine August wants you to consider, 550,000. She says that's an estimate of the number of affordable housing units in Canada that have simply vanished over the course of a decade. Where'd they go? Well, the units themselves still exist. They're just no longer affordable, have been turned over, are now priced out of reach. So just as Canada brings in more people and talks about building more affordable housing, the reality is units that already exist are slipping out of financial reach.
I think people watching this know exactly how that looks when they go searching for an apartment and can't find anything within their price range. The buildings are still there, they're just no longer affordable. This is a neighborhood in Toronto that has historically provided a lot of affordable housing.
This is Parkdale. It's also where 10 years ago, Martine August began studying the housing crisis.
There started to be a change that I noticed around 2014 when firms started to buy up properties in this neighborhood and start to sort of forcibly gentrify entire apartments. And these were financial firms.
And by gentrify, what do you mean? Because some people will hear that word and think, oh, they're improving them.
We're standing in front of one of the first buildings where this was happening. This building was bought by a firm in 2012. And what they started to do was get units empty. They were doing all sorts of aggressive property management strategies. So turning off the water, turning off the electricity, engaging in really noisy and disruptive construction projects that were kind of driving people crazy, ripping the balconies off, and trying to push people out.
If Martine can pinpoint the change to the 90s, what was happening? Well, it turns out the federal government stopped investing in subsidized housing in 1993. And then, in 1997, Ontario introduced something called vacancy decontrol. It meant once a unit was vacant, landlords could increase the rents however much they wanted. Big incentive to get people out of units. And absent a regulation to say they can't, I can see a private company saying, listen, it's legal, it's open to us, it makes good business sense for our shareholders. Why not?
You're really underlining why we need more regulation to prevent this kind of thing. Why not? I mean, it's violating the right to housing.
Fight, fight, fight! Housing is a right.
The right to housing. You may have heard that phrase again and again. In 2019, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that housing would be considered a human right in Canada.
Our government recognizes that housing rights are human rights. Everyone deserves a safe and affordable place to call home.
But what does that actually mean? Michael Brooks say there is no clarity on that at all.
Look, the human right to housing is a government obligation at the federal level. And I've gone back to the UN source documents on this. The position, for example, the federal housing advocate is that don't make it worse for us by evicting people.
Right.
I get that too. But we're running a business. We might have violent people, we might have people who don't pay rents for a year and challenge us to take them to the Landlord and Tenant Bureau. We may have people damage the units. We need to have eviction as a remedy. But there is zero literature in this country on what's the private sector obligation. We've offered to engage with the federal housing. Let's define this. What does this mean for us in the private sector? Because we're in business. We're not a social agency. We're not tasked with building deeply affordable or social housing. We can't be there. We're in business. Let's draw a line between these two. You do this, government, we do this. That's it.
So here's where Michael Brooks and Martine August agree. If you want affordable housing, governments have to get involved again. But for Brooks, making it tougher for private industry to invest in Canada's housing market would make the crisis worse.
I would imagine the only thing that makes large corporate entities move out of the space is that it's no longer the sort of climate where it makes business sense to be here.
Yeah, but who's going to buy the units then? Who's going to buy these buildings? This is a multi-trillion-dollar asset class. Who's going to write that check? Mm-hmm. And after that, who's coming to this country to build anything with that kind of a, I've called it Marxist, the scent of Marxism. I mean, you want this to be East Germany in the 60s? There you go. Have them nationalize it.
Fundamental philosophical and financial interpretations of the place of housing in this economy, and no solutions on offer that could possibly come quickly enough for the people in crisis right now.
Just to find a cheaper and safe place than here. But for us, where we can go, we just keep asking myself, where we can go? What's that? There's nowhere to go, nowhere at all.
Over a year, that is how long Halil and the other Thorncliffe tenants have been on their rent strike. It cannot go on forever, and he's facing an eviction application now. If someone else sees a way to live affordably in this country, he says, he's ready to try it, to try anything.
We reached out to Federal Housing Minister Sean Fraser to comment on what we uncovered about the state of Canada's housing market and the impact of corporate landlords. Despite multiple attempts over several days, the minister did not respond by our deadline. Next, a wildlife camera in BC becomes kind of a chew toy.
When I got back, the first thing I noticed was that there were tooth marks all over my GoPro.
The curious marmot in our moment. So you're looking at two yearling Vancouver Island marmots, very curious creatures, as one of them goes headfirst into a GoPro camera just to take a bit of a nibble. So the footage was captured as part of ongoing recovery efforts to assist these critically endangered species, and tonight the scene stealer makes our moment.
I thought I would just set up my GoPro just to record to see if there were any yearlings. We had to hike off to another part of the meadow. When I got back, the first thing I noticed was that there were tooth marks all over my GoPro. These marmots, they're really, really curious. And we do find this with cameras all the time. Like they really like to explore their environment, and they'll just about eat anything, or at least try it out. So we've had a number of cameras that have been eaten by marmots, and probably I should have known that this was a risk when I left my camera there. Apparently it wasn't tasty, and so it just decided to move on, which, you know, just as well. We don't want them eating plastic. We want them eating the wildflowers that you see in the video. Seeing them up close and really kind of interacting with each other and interacting with their environment is really special. When an endangered species wants to eat your camera, I guess it's just part of the game.
I mean, absolutely worth it to lose a camera every now and then just to keep them happy. Apparently, there are in that area sort of fewer than 300 marmots in the wild right now. There were no marmots in that site in 2003. They've been slowly bringing them back, and so sure, they'll let them eat their cameras. For all of us here at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.